My name is Alex, and to say my family is complicated would be an understatement. There's always been this unspoken tension that no one really talks about, but everyone feels. If you've ever been part of a family where everything seems normal on the surface, but deep down you know something's off, then you'll understand. We're not poor, but we're not rich either. My parents did their thing and they did well. And I guess I followed in their footsteps. I got a decent job, I live paycheck to paycheck, but I managed to save a little here and there. But my cousin Danny is another story. We grew up together, but we never really got along. He's always had this sense of entitlement, like the world owes him something. As kids, it wasn't so obvious. But as we grew older, his attitude, especially towards me, became increasingly noticeable, let's just say unfriendly. Sometimes the way he looks at me, it's like he can't stand to see me doing well. I remember a few years ago, he was complaining to me about how hard things were for him while driving a brand new car his parents had bought him. When I mentioned that I was doing okay, despite not having anything handed to me, he got defensive. Fast forward to today. I'm sitting at a family dinner, trying to maintain my composure. This gathering, like so many others, is nothing more than an excuse for my relatives to pretend everything is all right. We're at my aunt's house, a small suburban house with a white picket fence, but inside the atmosphere is tense. My aunt, uncle, and cousins are there as always. The air is thick with forced conversations and uncomfortable smiles. My cousin Danny, of course, is at the center of it all, talking loud enough for everyone to hear, but saying nothing of real value. He's always the loudest person in the room, whether he's bragging about some new gadget he bought or telling the same joke for the 100th time. I just nod, trying to get through the night as usual. No one talks about the important things. No one mentions the fact that Danny thinks he's entitled to everything just because we're family. And there I am, the black sheep, avoiding confrontation while everyone else pretends everything's fine. Then the conversation shifts. Maya asks me how work is going. I don't mind. Work's fine. I tell her it's stable, and she acts like it's the most interesting thing anyone could say. I know she's just making conversation, but it's clear no one really cares about the details. And that's when Danny starts. He looks at me with this smug grin, and I know immediately something's coming. "So, Alex," he says, tapping his fork against his plate. "How's work? Making good money now? You always seemed like the type to do well." He says it like he's genuinely curious, but I know better. He's sizing me up, trying to figure out how much I'm earning. I don't answer right away. I know he's testing the waters. "Oh, you know," I reply nonchalantly, "the usual. Working, saving a little here and there. Nothing special." I keep my answer vague, watching him intently. I can tell he's not satisfied with that. He leans in a little, lowering his voice just enough so only those nearby can hear. "Yeah, well, you've got some good money saved up now, right? Must be nice." I don't know if he thinks I don't notice, but I hear the tone in his voice, the implied challenge. "I've been thinking about getting a new car," he continues, a glint in his eyes. "But you know, with how things are, I'm a little short on cash. You know how it is, right?" He leaves the sentence hanging, waiting for me to fall into his trap. I don't. Instead, I take a slow sip of my drink, pretending not to notice his thinly veiled hints. It's like he thinks I'm too dumb to realize what he's doing. He's fishing for a compliment, trying to guilt me into feeling bad for being better off than him. "Oh yeah?" I ask lightly. "Well, I'm sure you'll figure it out." And that's when he pushes it. "Come on, we're family, right?" Danny leans in further, lowering his voice to almost a whisper, though still loud enough for everyone at the table to hear. "Family helps each other out, you know? I was thinking, maybe you could lend me a little? Just enough to get that car. It's not a big deal after all. You're doing pretty well now." He pauses, looking at me like I should be grateful for his request. My mind starts racing. This isn't the first time he's asked me for money, and it probably won't be the last. But this time feels different. He's not just asking for help. He's trying to manipulate me to make me feel like I owe him something. I feel my pulse quicken slightly, but I keep my cool. "I don't know, man," I say firmly. "I'm not really in a position to be lending money right now." I see a flash of annoyance in his eyes, but he quickly masks it with a forced smile. "Come on, Alex, it's just family helping family, right?" His tone is soft now, trying to sound casual. But I see right through him. Everyone at the table is watching, but no one says anything. I can feel the pressure building. I'm about to snap. But then I remember something. Something that's been eating at me for months. Something that's going to make his whole charade come crashing down. I slowly reach into my pocket and pull out my phone. I tap a few times, scrolling through a conversation. The tension at the table is almost palpable as Danny watches me, unsure of what I'm doing. I look up at him, a small smile forming on my face. You want to talk about family and helping each other out, huh? I say, an edge creeping into my voice. I slide my screen and show him the message. Then explain this to me. The room falls completely silent. I can feel everyone's eyes on me, but I don't break my gaze from Danny's face. I keep my finger on the phone screen, holding it high enough for him to see. His smile falters and I watch as his gaze shifts from my face to the phone. His expression slowly changes from arrogant confidence to disbelief. For a fleeting moment his lips tremble, like he's trying to find something to say, but the words won't come. And that's when I drop the bomb. I open the screenshot. It's a text message from a few months ago, one I'd almost forgotten until recently. A message from one of my friends, someone clearly fed up with Danny's behavior. The message reads, "Danny's been talking crap about you again. He told everyone you're a broke loser lucky to have a job." There's another message even more cutting. He says you're not even worth asking for help. But hey, I guess he'll only talk to you when he needs something. I watch as Danny's face goes from pale to completely drained of color. I don't even need to say anything. The texts speak for themselves. My cousin stammers, trying to maintain his composure, but it's clear he doesn't know what to do. He clears his throat, his voice shaky. "Hey Alex, that's not." He cuts himself off when he realizes there's nothing he can say to get out of this. The room remains silent except for the faint hum of the air conditioner and the occasional clink of silverware against plates. Everyone is looking between us, and I can see the uncertainty in their eyes. No one has said a word yet. My aunt, who's usually the peacemaker of the family, looks at me and then at Danny, her face tight with confusion. It's obvious she has no idea what's going on, and I can see her trying to piece the puzzle together in her head. Danny, still trying to save face, lets out a nervous laugh. "Look, it's not what it looks like, okay? But he doesn't finish the sentence. His voice trails off as he looks back at my phone screen, as if finally processing how badly he's been caught. He shifts uncomfortably in his seat, his eyes darting around the table. His expression is a mixture of shame and frustration. But I'm not going to let him get away with it. "How curious," I say, making no effort to hide the sarcasm in my voice. "I didn't know we talked behind each other's backs in this family. But hey, maybe I'm just overreacting." I let the silence hang for a few more seconds, watching as Danny squirms under the weight of his own lies. I don't even need to look at anyone else. I know they're all thinking the same thing. The worst part is my aunt is finally starting to put the pieces together. She looks at Danny, then at me, and her expression slowly changes from confusion to concern. "Danny, what is this?" she asks softly. "What's going on?" I don't answer for him. I just let the silence fill the room, letting the truth sink in. Danny opens his mouth again, trying to speak, but no words come out. He's running out of excuses, and everyone at the table is starting to see who he really is. The arrogant, entitled attitude he's carried for years is beginning to crack, and for the first time, it's not me who's in the spotlight. But then, just when I think I have the upper hand, my uncle intervenes. All right, let's calm down," he says, trying to diffuse the situation. "We're all a little tense, okay?" His tone is conciliatory, but in his gaze I notice something different. He's no longer convinced by Danny. Something has shifted in the way he sees him. Danny, realizing the turn in the situation, looks to his father for support. "Dad, this is ridiculous," he mutters. "Alex is just trying to make me look bad in front of everyone. I was just asking for help like any family would. This is getting blown out of proportion." There's desperation in his voice. He's trying to manipulate the situation, looking for a way out. But it's too late. The truth is already on the table, and there's no going back. I stand up slowly, leaving my phone face down on the table. My patience has run out. "I'm not making you look bad, Danny," I say coldly. "You're doing that yourself." Then I turn to my aunt and uncle, my voice firm, unwavering. You want to know what kind of family really helps each other out? One that doesn't talk crap behind each other's backs. One that doesn't manipulate their own when they need something. That's the kind of family I thought we were. But now I see I was wrong. Danny's face is burning red. And I can see in his eyes that he's regretting trying this stunt. That moment when he realizes I'm not backing down, that this time he won't be able to get away with it. He shifts uncomfortably in his chair, avoiding everyone's gaze. And the tension in the room continues to build until, just when it's about to explode, I decide to make my move. You want money that badly, Danny? My voice cuts through the silence like a knife. Then explain this. I pick up my phone once more, ready to show what I've been holding back. But this time it's not just another screenshot. Something more. Something that will put the final nail in his coffin. I slide the phone across the table, face up, letting the screen illuminate the dim light of the dining room. The weight of the moment becomes unbearable, as the tension continues to build with every passing second. Nobody moves. Everyone holds their breath, waiting for the next move. Even Danny, who now looks like he's seen a ghost. I leave the phone on the table without saying a word. The message on the screen speaks for itself. It's a text Danny sent to one of his friends just a week ago. Can you believe Alex actually thinks he's better than me? This guy gets a little money and acts like he's a big deal. Wouldn't trust him with $1, let alone give him help. I'll keep playing the victim card. Family always comes through when you need them. The words hang in the air like a slap, and the silence that follows is deafening. Everyone reads the message without saying anything. Not even my uncle, who normally tries to smooth things over, can find words in this moment. He leans back in his chair, eyes wide, unsure how to process this. While my aunt, her face somewhere between disbelief and shock, reaches a trembling hand for her wine glass. Danny is completely pale. His hand twitches as he tries to grab the phone, but I pull it away just in time. Going to keep pretending you're the victim, Danny? I ask, keeping my voice steady, though now laced with an icy edge that cuts through the tension. Going to keep playing the family card? Or should we talk about how you've been trash-talking me behind my back? Calling me a loser to your friends, while you play nice here when you need something? The color completely drains from his face. He tries to speak, but no words come out. His posture slumps. The arrogance he's always carried with him crumbles in seconds, leaving behind something I haven't seen in years. Vulnerability. His eyes dart around the table, unsure what to do. And I know in this instant he's understood that he's lost. The silence stretches on, broken only by the slight clink of my aunt's glass as she sets it back down on the table. My aunt looks at Danny, then at me, then back at him, and this time, there's no trace of the authoritative calm she usually has. Just weariness, like she's finally understood that her son has been the one causing all this turmoil. Danny clears his throat, trying to regain some dignity. This is just a misunderstanding, he says, his voice quieter than usual, though even he seems to realize that no one is going to believe him this time. No, Danny, I reply firmly, not breaking eye contact. This isn't a misunderstanding. This is you trying to manipulate everyone around you. Open your... He starts to speak but doesn't manage to articulate any words. I know his mind is racing, desperately searching for an escape route, a way to spin the situation, but there isn't one. His shoulders slump, the weight of his own actions finally hitting him, and in an instant everything comes crashing down on him. The arrogance, the manipulation, the lies. Everything he's done catches up with him in this precise moment. But I'm not finished yet. I turn to my aunt and uncle, my tone softening just enough for them to see this isn't just about Danny. Something deeper. I didn't want to do this in front of everyone. I say, my voice calm but firm. But you deserve to know the truth. Danny has been manipulating this family for his own benefit. And now he thinks he can pressure me into giving him money, just because we're family. Danny's eyes widen, and I can see the panic in his expression. No, it wasn't like that. I wasn't trying to manipulate anyone. Enough, Danny. I interrupt, my voice stronger this time, giving him no room to wiggle out. This is exactly what you do. You manipulate everyone into believing you're the victim. And when that doesn't work, you use the family card to guilt us. My words hang in the air, the silence growing thicker, heavier, until finally, my uncle breaks the tension. His voice is heavy with disappointment. This This isn't the first time you've acted like this, is it? He asks, his gaze fixed on Danny. And while his tone is quiet, there's something in his expression that makes it clear he's not letting this go. Danny clenches his jaw and opens his mouth to protest, but my uncle raises a hand. Silence. You've been doing this for a long time, haven't you? He continues. Taking advantage of people, playing the victim, and using other people's generosity when it suits you. Danny doesn't respond. He can't. My uncle's words hang in the air like the final nail in the coffin of Danny's carefully constructed facade. I stand there for a moment, letting the weight of the situation sink in. It's finally over. Danny is no longer the golden child who could always get away with anything. I can see his facade crumbling, each crack growing larger with every passing second. But before he can react, my aunt looks at me. Her eyes reflect a mix of sadness and understanding. Alex. I didn't know any of this. Her voice trembles. I'm so sorry. We should have noticed sooner. It's evident she's struggling to reconcile the son she raised with the person before her. Danny throws her a desperate look, hoping for her to defend him, but she doesn't even meet his gaze. She's seen enough. I can feel everyone's attention on me. For a moment I wonder if I went too far. But then I realize I didn't. This needed to happen. It was long overdue. Danny isn't getting out of this, not this time. And if that means confronting him with the consequences of his actions in front of everyone, then so be it. The silence continues, but now it's not uncomfortable. It's necessary. The tension in the room is thick, and I know this is a moment Danny will never forget. But I still have something more to say. Something that will ensure he understands the full weight of what he's done. Just remember this, Danny. My voice is low but firm. Family isn't about taking advantage of each other. It's about respect. It's about honesty. It's about not pretending to be someone you're not just when you need something. I wait for his response, but there's nothing. There's nothing left to say. The ball is in his court now, and everyone here has seen his true face. Then my aunt speaks again, her tone softer, almost apologetic. We're going to have to talk about this later, Danny. All of us. Her words are final. And I know that whatever happens after tonight, nothing will ever be the same again. The silence stretches on until Danny pushes his chair back with a scrape and stands abruptly. His face is flushed, his eyes wide with a mixture of frustration and humiliation. He gives me one last look, but there's no rage in it now, no fire. Just something deeper, more painful. The realization that he has lost. Without a word, he walks out of the room and slams the door shut. The house seems to let out a collective sigh, as if the tension has finally been released. My aunt and uncle remain seated, stunned into silence, processing everything that just transpired. Alex? My uncle finally breaks the silence, his voice still filled with disbelief. I had no idea. Should have been more attentive. Didn't you say anything about this? I nod slowly, feeling a slight knot in my chest. I didn't expect you to know everything, Uncle Mark. But this wasn't just about the money. It was the way he's been treating me, the way he's been manipulating everyone around him, thinking he could get away with it just because we're family. This needed to stop. My aunt sighs, her hands still trembling as she wipes her eyes. I'm so sorry, Alex. I didn't see it. Her voice is almost a whisper. But I promise we'll talk about this. Really talk. When Danny calms down, we'll have a serious conversation. This family can't keep going on like this. Not again. My gaze stays fixed on the door where Danny exited. In that instant, I realize that this won't be the last time this conversation comes up. But for the first time in a long time, I feel a genuine sense of relief. It was a brutal confrontation, yes, but it was necessary. After that, dinner ended. No one had much more to say. And I could tell my aunt and uncle needed time to digest what had just happened. I said my goodbyes and went home, a mix of emotions swirling inside me. I felt anger at everything Danny had done, but at the same time a strange sense of closure. In the days that followed, I didn't hear from him. I knew that was probably for the best. He needed time to process the consequences of his own actions. But what really surprised me was how the rest of the family began to treat me. It wasn't just my aunt and uncle who showed me gratitude for what I did. It was my cousins, other relatives. I received messages of support, thanking me for confronting Danny. It felt good to know that I wasn't alone in this, that there were others who had also seen what Danny was doing beneath the surface. And Danny eventually did get in touch. But it wasn't to apologize. He wanted something, of course. It wasn't money this time, but another chance to manipulate the situation, trying to convince me I was the one who went too far. He said that after what I did, the family would never be the same. But honestly, I didn't care. I don't owe him anything. Because this was never about him. It was about finally standing up for myself. About showing him that I'm not going to let him walk all over me anymore. Things aren't perfect, and since that last attempt I've barely heard from him. But I'm okay with that. It's not easy dealing with someone like Danny, but I've made it clear I'm not going to be his doormat. What matters is that for the first time in a long time, there's a sense of peace in my family. And that's how things stand now.